Carlbo Tennis.
Good morning, everybody. Tennis coach Robert here. It's morning somewhere, I suppose, with carlbotennis.com. Today we're going to talk about pronation and the serve. So the pronation, we've all heard about this pronation business, but when we're serving, it becomes a little bit of a challenge. So we're going to talk about that. And pronation is important, not so much in the beginning perhaps, but the better we get as a tennis player is going to help us to increase speed. It's going to help us with accuracy, with spin, and to be able to, of course, get the ball in. So the primary objective when we're playing, of course, is to just get the ball in. So most people, when they go ahead and get started, they just go ahead, and we've talked about this in other videos, you can stand forward. Right now I have my forehand grip, so something along this line, up, and I push the ball in. And that's good enough, okay, to get the ball going. But at some point in time, I need a little bit more power, and I need a little bit more accuracy. So pronation basically is the outward movement of the hand. So the hand is going to do something like this. So right now, the palm of my hand is facing this way or facing me. And then when I go forward, my hand will turn, and then it will turn the other way. Some people on television will say, you know, they're snapping their wrist, but we're actually pronating this way. Okay, so we go ahead, it's a natural human thing. So the thumb is up, I go forward, and it turns. When someone throws a ball and they throw the ball really, really hard, you will pronate. Your hand will turn. Okay, so when we're throwing, you will see players go ahead and pronate. When we talk about serving, and we have to have the ball go up, when I extend completely up, I will pronate. This is it. So it's sort of like some people say, you know, turning a light bulb on. So I go up here and I pronate. Okay? So the problem with pronation and the serve is that when we pronate, we need to have the arm fully extended. So because I can pronate here successfully down here, turn, no problem. But when I put the racket in my hand, the length of the racket makes it very challenging for me to pronate down here. Very, very challenging. So I can't pronate here. So what will I do to make it comfortable? I will adjust my grip. So I go here and I adjust my grip. So that's one of the reasons why players, when they're in this position here, and they're hitting here, they change the grip. So the grip starts one way here. We come up and we change the grip because the toss is low, and when I go to try to pronate, it's going to be very, very difficult. There's some players who are going to have some success with pronation when the toss is lower. The grip will change, and I'll show you the consequence of that. So remember that the arm turns to the side. So I have a forehand grip right here, and I'm going to toss the ball. Remember, because it's lower, the toss isn't that high, I'm able to pronate. So I'm able to pronate. So the problem that's going to happen is when I toss the ball and I hit it, my racket will turn this way. So the ball is going to go slightly to the right. So if I'm trying to be accurate, and sometimes you will see it, the harder I hit, if I hit it softly, it will go straight. But if I hit it a little bit harder, my arm naturally wants to pronate. So I will lose my accuracy, and I have the ball go slightly to the right. So if I'm aiming down the tee and I go faster, the ball will go to the side. And sometimes you will see players, they're hitting the ball and the ball goes slightly to the side. The other thing that can happen is that we don't pronate at all. So you have players who think they're going to pronate. They start with the correct grip, the continental grip, and they go ahead and serve, and because the toss is low, they get here and they actually push the ball. So I don't pronate because I can't get the ball high enough. So it becomes a little bit of a push. So here up, it looks like a regular serve in the beginning, and it is, but as soon as I get up here, I just push the ball. So I push the ball up here. And that makes it, again, much more difficult. It's harder for me to follow through, because with the pronation, etc., it's going to help me to follow through properly. The only way I can make this pronation happen, of course, if I go all the way up. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 fingers, and I'm going to have my racket in this position here, and I'm going to go straight up. And when I go straight up in the air, I'm able to turn. Now my arm is loose, and it's going to make this happen. So I go all the way up here, and you can try this at home. Up, and I'm able to turn. If I'm tight, it's not going to work. So I go up here very gently, and if I go up, it would turn. So what you will notice is my racket goes straight up, and it turns and goes down. So the irony or the funny thing is, you're going to go up on the ball, and this is going to make the ball go down. So I need to go straight up, and this will cause the pronation. I can do this without any problems. So come down, it becomes more and more problematic. It becomes very, very straining on the wrist. So I need to make sure that I go all the way up to be able to pronate. I'm going to go slowly so that you can see this, and I'll toss the ball a little bit lower. So I'll put a little strain on my arm so you can see it. So I get here, and I toss the ball, and I make this pronation. So here, and I pronate. And when you go ahead and pronate, it becomes very similar to that throwing motion. So we need to make sure we do it. With the pronation also, I'm able to create some spin. So if I go up here and create spin, when we get to that, I will pronate. So I go up here and pronate. Sorry about that. So the toss is a little bit off there. Here, pronate. And you will notice that when I pronate, the ball will create some spin here, and I'll be able to eventually move up and create some kick serve and some other types of spin. So the ball goes, and you can see it go off slightly to the side. And that happens because of the pronation. So we need to make sure that we are fully extended up here to create pronation. So we need to go all the way up to pronate. If we don't do that, it's going to be a problem. So practicing pronation, we all have heard of it. You've taken tennis lessons and so on. We understand pronation, what it means. But in order to successfully be able to do it, we need to think about the fact that we need to have our contact point higher. So we've talked about other videos where we talk about the stance, and we talk about the right place to toss the ball. So all of these videos are all related. So we take one thing at a time so that we can improve our chances of getting the ball in the court, direction, spin, power, and so on. So remember this, that the palm goes this way, okay, from facing the side to the other side. It turns thumb up and around. But to be able to successfully do this with a racket in hand, we need to make sure that we're fully extended. And the benefits from doing this, at first it seems like it's not that big of a deal. But once we get the ball in and we have some accuracy, we can create more spin, we can create more power, and ultimately, most players, that's what they want. Most players come and to take a lesson, they want more and more power, more power. And you're not going to be able to create more power unless you're able to pronate correctly. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please subscribe, and I'll be talking to you later. Thank you.
For more information on Carlbo Tennis, visit www.carlbotennis.com. If you wish to email Coach Robert, please do so at robert@carlbotennis.com, or visit his Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Carlbo Tennis. Tennis for the people.